Okay, we're live. Hello, welcome to Cinema Savvy, and welcome to a brand new movie review. I'm Chris Garner, joined with George Aldridge and Tayte here to give our review on The Mummy, the 2017 reboot, directed by Alex Kurtzman, everyone's favourite writer of the likes of Revenge of the Fallen and Amazing Spider-Man 2, and loads of other great movies like that. Guys, I'm not gonna beat around the bush. Okay, we really don't want to talk about this movie. We all saw this film yesterday, and we are so unenthusiastic to talk about this movie, but we're going to give it our best shot. As always, this is going to be a review in two halves. We're going to do spoiler-free to begin with, and when we get to spoilers, we'll let you guys know. I've kind of summed up my thoughts already just in that opening introduction, but if you guys want to go through the introduction, sort of your initial thoughts based on the trailer and your thoughts going through this whole process of Universal setting up this new dark universe.
I'm behind the Dark Universe. Terrible name for it, but I kind of dig it. I've been excited to see this new cinematic universe that actually makes sense to be a cinematic universe because all the rights are owned by the same people, and it's characters we haven't seen in a long time. Yes, there's kind of been emergencies with some Frankensteins and stuff like that, but if you look at the state of comic book films before Marvel and DC did their universes, there was tons. If you look at Transformers, there's been 4 Transformers films in like 10 years before the Transformers cinematic universe. Whereas they've kind of Universal come out and said, okay, we're just going to go for it with the classic monsters and we're going to do our film. And, you know, they haven't scheduled 10 films then a team up. They've done it film by, I mean, they've announced the second one now. But yeah, I'm behind the universe. However, my issue with The Mummy is because it's the most recent one, not in just my mind, but a lot of the people's of the trilogy. It's arguably the biggest name of it. Doing that first, I mean, we'll get to the discussion, was very risky and it's backfired. But there are some good things about it. But the trailers, I liked that first teaser, where with the plane scene, the eye spitting, and then every other trailer looked absolutely abysmal. They've done some version of Paint It Black, which I can't forgive because the Rolling Stones is not anything to do with The Mummy. It's not Guardians of the Galaxy. This is Tom Cruise running and screaming for 90 minutes as usual.
Oh,
How about you,
man. Oh, man. Okay, so I wasn't excited about any of the trailers, and then as soon as I saw the trailer go up in one of the cinemas, I thought, okay, I can slightly get behind this, because when you see it up on a big screen, like, you become more immersed in it. Like in any cinema experience, that can go one of two ways. You can either become more immersed in a good way, where you can enjoy it a bit more, or you can just hate it even more. Think, what is this even doing up there on the big screen? When I saw the Mummy trailer, like on a small screen, no reaction at all. When I saw it up on the big screen, I thought, okay, I can get behind this a little bit. I don't really know about the Dark Universe. I think it's a good idea. It's just that I'm not behind some of the choices they've made on some of the films that they're going to be bringing out. And I know that we were debating this in the chat earlier for what order they maybe should have brought out the films. But I really do think that Mummy, it's a very, very safe call for the first film. It's doing nothing interesting there. And wow, it isn't the worst film of the year, but definitely competing for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, for me, I mean, I love the original Universal Monster series. They are some really iconic characters that lasted throughout the ages. We've had many iterations of not just the Mummy, but all the other monsters too. And I think that Universal have really been trying to set up this universe for a long time. I think they wanted to set one up right about the time they did The Wolfman with Benicio del Toro, which came out in 2009. And then we had Dracula Untold as well, which, because that's came out fairly recently, I think it was like 2011 or something, wasn't it? People still are thinking that that might time with this new one, but it's clearly not. They're just, they're going from the ground up with this new one. And Tate, like you just said, I think this was a very safe bet for Universal to bring out The Mummy first. And kind of going along with that, this whole entire movie felt like it was made by committee, down to everything, down to all the teases they're throwing in there to set up for the other films. And if I'm going into my negatives now, and just the film in general, that's probably my biggest negative, in that it feels like a hodgepodge of trying to be a standalone Mummy film and also setting up this greater universe. And you have these clash of two ideals that leave you just with a really unsatisfying product. I'm not going to lie, like 10 minutes into this, I just wanted to leave. I was so bored. I knew exactly where the movie was going to go. I knew exactly how it was going to play out. None of the trailers really did anything for me, but it's a universe that I am, even after this film, and I didn't like this film, I am still excited to see where it's going. I know the next film is going to be Bride of Frankenstein. They're clearly just skipping out the original Frankenstein and going right to the sequel. If the others done well, you know, I'm fine with it. It's kind of like me with the DC universe at the minute, that now we've had Wonder Woman, it's been good. I'm looking forward to seeing what the other's going to be like. But yeah, this one just really did absolutely nothing for me.
It's a safe bet to do a mummy film, and let's be honest, if you take a pre-production that, okay, you've got a mummy that's a woman mummy, not that's a bad thing, but when you stereotype a mummy, like somebody mummified, you associate with a woman. Sofia Boutella, she was amazing in Kingsman. Like, okay, I haven't seen the Star Trek film she was in from last year, but she was meant to be good in it. And with this, it's okay, she suits the role. She can pull off the Egyptian kind of mummy, I guess you say. Tom Cruise is your lead actor. You can't fault that. Tom Cruise is still a leading actor. He's last couple of years he's been doing really well again. And the modern day setting to take it, differentiate it from the original Mummy trilogy. Well, to me, it's not the originals, but it's so sad that we have to call the Brendan Fraser ones the original Mummy trilogy, like the original Star Wars films. So everything, like a pre-production, the boxes were ticked, but yeah, then the actual film came out.
There's only one thing that I didn't care for this film as well. I would have loved to have seen Universal just go straight up horror with these films. And you get like little elements of horror in there, but it's nothing too out of the ordinary from what we've seen before. There's no really scary bits. There's a lot of jump scares in this movie, but you can guess where they're all coming. It's so by the numbers.
I mean, when I went into the cinema, I saw the reviews before and I saw it was getting absolutely ripped to shreds. And as soon as I saw horror come up in the notifications, you know, you have 15 film, graphic, violence, horror. As soon as I saw horror, I thought, okay, if it's a horror film, if you redesign it as it is the Mummy horror film and it's the dark universe, so it's going to be these retold tales to actually frighten people, then maybe it could work, and maybe some of the people just don't understand where they're going in this new universe. No, they were right. This film is a steaming pile of turd. There is barely any horror elements in it. Maybe the acting, but other than that, like, nothing.
Well, if we get into oh, sorry, George, you gonna?
I was gonna say that horror-wise, this did not feel like a horror film at all. I didn't think it'd be a horror film. I know it's rated 15 over here in England, but it was 12A. No, it was PG-13 in America, which you never get it the way around. It's always 12A and rated R. It's never rated 15 and then PG-13. There was nothing scary about this. It felt like a terrible video game cutscene for like 90 minutes.
Yeah, and actually, I know we'll skip over characters, so we'll come back to it in a minute, but going off what you said, the tone of this film was so all over the place. It's probably one of the most tone-deaf movies I've ever seen in a long time, because they do they skirt near horror sometimes. The scene in the trailer with the rats, for example, I have a huge phobia of rats, so I really didn't like that scene, but I thought that was effective. There were some creepy shots of like the zombie kind of characters in there with, with Sofia Boutella's mummy when she resurrects them as a kind of a henchman. Some of the effects on those were pretty cool. But then you have, and I'm not going into spoilers with this, but you have this character that keeps cropping up throughout the film to kind of drop funnies and jokes. And the jokes just, no one was laughing in the cinema for this thing. And actually, it was kind of a packed theatre when I went to see this yesterday. But none of the jokes hit, and it just felt like an absolute jumbled mess of what they were going for the tone. Either go kind of the fun action adventure like the 90s Mummy film with Brendan Fraser, or go for a straight-up horror movie, or go for a comedic film. Like, pick one and stick to one. When you jumble all these together, it's just, you're left confused. You don't know how to feel with it. And that's how I felt.
I felt like I wanted to leave. I was with two of my mates. I never go to the cinema on a Friday night. I always go in the day when it's dead. It was like 3/4 full, and no one was laughing at the joke. There was one joke that got a laugh out of everyone. It was just pure silence. Otherwise, it was crap. I wanted to leave. I was even close to getting my phone out to text someone saying don't watch it, but I just still don't have it in me to get my phone out during a film. But no one has any idea how close I was to that. This was truly not just a disappointment, but just a crushing disappointment. The one positive I will say is, I know we'll get to characters in a minute, is Russell Crowe.
Yes,
that's it. That's all that's good about this film is Russell Crowe, and I'm not going to drop that line just yet.
I'm going to be slightly more critical of Russell Crowe. I didn't like this incarnation of Jekyll and Hyde. I didn't like much about this film. I basically spaced out for most of it because it was so dull. And yes, the entire film was building up to having Russell Crowe kind of introduced and have his character fleshed out a bit more. But like, even when it happened, it wasn't overwhelmingly thrilling. It was slightly above average from what we came to having as within the average of the film. It was slightly better than the rest of the film, but that doesn't mean that it was good. We shouldn't kid ourselves here. It just wasn't.
Yeah, Russell Crowe was my favorite thing in this movie too, and I don't know if that was because the rest of the movie was so bad that I was just looking for anything to tether onto that I enjoyed. I like Russell Crowe in this film. I don't like the implementation of his character in this film though, because whenever he's on screen, the entire film just screeches to a halt for like an exposition scene. He's got to tell us all about the mummy. He's got to tell us all the information that we need to know. And then they kind of just set up his character, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, for, what's to come in the future films, which isn't really needed in this film. But, Universal are going 10 to the dozen with this film and setting up this universe. Like, they're not messing around with this thing. Should we talk about Tom Cruise then, our main star in this film? He's Tom Cruise, isn't he? I mean, every single film I see him in, I don't really see him as a character. I always see him as Tom Cruise playing Tom Cruise, even in the likes of Top Gun. He's fine. He's an absolute safe bet, though, in terms of an action lead. He brings in names, he brings in the money, and that's exactly what Universal were going for with this film. You stick Tom Cruise on a poster and have his name on there, people are going to go and see it.
This film This film might be actually a good case of where the star power from the film overwhelms the actual film itself.
Mm-hmm.
And you get those films every now and then, a lot through Oscar season, where you have big actors and directors directing these films, but the films itself are bad. And they haven't gone, okay, we're going to do an amazing plot to the film. We're then going to sort out the actors for the places of plot, for the characters. What they've basically done is, we want to start a new universe. We're going to do the mummy. Okay, before we do the plot, which big action star are we going to bring in? And we'll try and work him somehow into the plot. And they just went and did that with a couple of them. They filled in the slots of the characters without actually fulfilling the storyline first. And it just didn't work.
I don't really think there was a storyline, in all honesty. The actual story takes place in exposition by Russell Crowe in the first 3 minutes, and then the rest of it's just nonsense for the next hour and a half. That's precisely how I feel. Right, with Tom Cruise, though, I mean, I love him. I know a lot of people don't, but he is a draw. And just going off the prediction stats, okay, this is tanked in America with a 30 mil opening weekend there. Worldwide, though, 170. That's the power of Tom Cruise. No one can run like Tom Cruise. No one can. Gaston, I was going to do a Gaston remix, I just can't. But he's a star still today. Almost 30 years later, he's still doing madness in the box office. And they want him to be a part of this universe. In the promotional images for Dark Universe, he is going to clearly be this big draw. There's the behind-the-scenes image of him, Johnny Depp, Javier Bardem, Sofia Boutella, Russell Crowe. Although it's one film and she's the mummy, it's still Tom Cruise. They still want him. He's at the forefront of this universe, and I'm intrigued to see what they do next. No matter how bad this film is, I'm following this universe with a bit of hope. I've had a lot of hope with DC. After Suicide Squad, they finally found their feet, and I hope they can stick with this and keep rising. But I just have to put the same hope into this that I have with them.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, all the other characters in the film really are kind of inconsequential. I mean, you've got Annabelle Wallis.
Oh God.
The worst part of this film by far.
If anyone's
her opening dialogue, yeah, go on, George.
If anyone has watched Peaky Blinders, she's in that. And she's the worst thing about Peaky Blinders, which is one of the best TV shows at the minute. You hate her in all the episodes. Even the way Cillian Murphy pronounces Grace. Every time she's on screen, why is he wasting his time on her? And it's terrible. She's terrible in this. She's terrible in that. I don't know how she keeps getting jobs. I think she's an X-Men First Class for one line.
She plays a character called Amy, apparently. I've seen that movie many times. I can't place her at all.
I think she's the one where he tells her she's a mutant at the start and she says she's leaving. Something like that.
Oh, at the bar, yeah.
There's a reason she wasn't in it for more than a line, I'll tell you that. just stop putting her in these films. And I mean, we'll get into spoilers later on with this, but man, they could have done something at least like fun with her ending, but they diverted that too. And I don't understand if she's trying to be comic relief or some serious lead, but she does neither properly when she's trying to.
Can I just go ahead and say that her first and opening dialogue, she immediately was annoying and sounded like a British stereotype, some up-top snob. And come on, you're meant to be getting behind this character. She's meant to be the main love interest. How on earth are you meant to be doing that if she's some uptight snob? Like, oh God, every single scene she was in annoyed me. Every single time she opened her mouth, you just wanted her to shut up. And it's horrible to have a character like that where you're kind of constantly throughout the film, you're just waiting for her to say a line just so you can shout "shut up" at the screen.
Well, this film had 3 screenplay writers, and just the dialogue in this film is appalling all the way through, whether it be the jokes or even the expositional dialogue. Like, they'll go, as you know, this and this and this happened, and it's so exposition filled. Characters, like when they go up to Tom Cruise, they say that this man steals things and sells it on the black. You know, it really, it's completely on the nose.
Here's the thing, though.
Sometimes
people can take really bad dialogue, and if they're a good enough actor, they can actually transform it into something which you can almost get along with.
If they've got charisma, absolutely, yeah.
In fact, if we're talking about bad dialogue, I'd say that Tom Cruise and Sofia Boutella both had bad dialogue, and they managed to do okay with it. Not like good, not anywhere near the average, but they did better than what was expected from them.
I guess we can talk about Sofia Boutella now, as well as Princess Armanet, who is the mummy in this film. I think the biggest problem I had with her characters, I mean, she's fine. She brings a lot of the physicality into it because she is kind of very gymnastic. She showed that in Kingsman, and she brings that into it in this as well. It never felt like a mummy to me. It felt like Cara Delevingne from Suicide Squad as the Enchantress. She was more like a sorceress than a mummy, and I just never got that threatening sense from her at any point in the movie. And also, like, her powers just seem to be all over the place. It's kind of like Apocalypse from X-Men Apocalypse, just both Egyptian gods who want to take over the world, apparently. But I never knew where her powers began and ended. It seems like she just used different powers for any of the plot required it.
One of my biggest issues with her, before I even get to the performance stuff, she's CGI for most of the film. And I get the whole mummy. It's not a spoiler. It's what the originals do. You know, they have to like suck the souls or nonsense like that to get their full body piece. And with this, like, it's just terrible CGI on her face. And in the trailer, you've got the 2 eyes. It's really distracting in the film. It looks like you're watching a bad 3D film that the lens is doubled on the eyes, but actually it's just terrible CGI.
You could watch this in 3D.
Then you'd be seeing 4 eyes inside the person because it was just damaged. They wasted her. I thought she'd have been awesome. As the best moments, as such, well, except the Russell Crowe quotes. The only other good stuff was like her backstory, but they just breeze right through it, and it's a rip-off of the Mummy 2. I think I said that to you yesterday, but they literally just go for the Mummy 2 plot, stick it on her. Oh, she's tattooed. She must be dark, like Jared Leto's Joker. I really hope they can somehow save her in the next film, but I don't think they will.
Going off your point with the CGI, though, I mean, her face was CGI'd, and also Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, and that's not a spoiler. I think they gave that away in one of the featurettes that came out. I think it might even be one of the trailers.
He was known from the beginning as well that he was Jekyll.
Yeah. They all have like this CGI just pasted over their face, and that's it. And I missed like the old films, for example, where they just took a character, put them in makeup, and they made them a monster. They made them that character. And I know, looking back at those original ones from the 30s and 50s, they are very cheesy. They're, as I say, they were made way back when. They did what they could, but the looks of those characters are so iconic. And now we get this, and it doesn't feel like a mummy. There's never that threatening quality to them. I think the only thing that might be considered somewhat threatening in this film are probably some of like the henchmen, like the zombie things, if zombies scare you. But I mean, zombies are everywhere now, whether it be Walking Dead or Eyes, whatever it happens to be, Warm Bodies. Zombies have been done to death now, so there was nothing in this film that felt remotely new, despite it being a reboot. I mean, the
only thing that felt threatening in this film, and you see it in the trailer, is where the sound goes over London, and the way she does in the film is the only thing which I would consider okay. Like, if I was going to remake this film, that would be the only thing that I'd keep in, her turning all of the glass into sand and then creating a sandstorm, because that's pretty cool.
And no one got cut by it, apparently.
But also,
cut by it.
how did she know that it was glass? Like, did they have glass in the Mummy days? How would she know that glass is actually sand? I don't know. And just like Apocalypse, like he looks at a TV to learn English. But she looks at Tom Cruise and now speaks perfect fluent English because apparently it was really easy to learn. But yeah, I mean, the Sandstorm thing was cool, but that didn't need to be in the trailer either. That would have been an awesome moment at the end. But nope, trailer 1, straight in there. Yeah. Every scene of any importance was actually spoiled in a trailer or featurette. There's not much to spoil in this film, but it just goes to show.
Yeah, and I mean, even the action in this film, all the action never really did anything for me. There's a couple of underwater sequences. I think the biggest action set piece of the film is either the ambulance chase, probably, or the scene we just talked about in London. And when I saw the trailer and I saw him walking through the streets of London and just destroying it, it reminded me of Apocalypse when he's like, from the ashes of this world, we'll build a better one. It reminded me of that. And even in terms of just like the visuals itself, there's nothing new because they even replicate the 1999 Mummy film with the whole face in the cloud. You know, it's just, I've seen it all before and it didn't do anything. And whenever you see like a new film now and it's like this big world-ending film, we're going to destroy the world, it's very difficult to make it different or innovative now. And this just felt so tired. We have another character to talk about, but I think we should save that for the spoilers. What do you reckon? Do you want to save that for the spoiler section?
Who's the other character?
Well, we've talked a little bit about him, but Russell Crowe. But I think in order to talk about him more, we should save it for spoilers.
Yeah, that's fine.
I guess we'll just say negatives and positives then, and then we'll just go into overall opinions before moving into spoilers. So, any other positives? Or negatives? There's a lot more negatives than positives.
Positive. The maybe one of my favorite trailer lines of the last couple of years, which is "Welcome to a new world of gods and monsters." That's genuinely the only good thing. If they can start every Dark Universe film with this instead of that awful like opening logo, it's just Russell Crowe talking. I'm Dr. Jekyll. It's just I don't know if he's trying to be American. I don't know if he's trying to be English. I don't know if he's trying to be Australian. But all I want to do is see him going around the world fighting. For those that get that reference. And we're going to probably get that in another film. But everything else was awful. Not even Tom Cruise could save it.
Positives.
I can't even say the soundtrack. Like usually we talk
I'm not
about
gonna lie. Okay, so this
I can't remember the soundtrack.
This film does feature some things connected to the Crusades, and I was sat in my cinema. My friend leant over to me and just whispered Deus Vult into my ear, and I burst out laughing. I'm pretty sure people would have just kind of gone, what the hell is he talking about? But that's probably the highlight of the film, and that was in the first 30 seconds. So, yeah.
God, that first 30 seconds annoyed me based on the fucking editing choices. The editing was all over the place in this movie. But spoiler alert, I guess, for the opening scene of the film. They cut to, England, way back when in the Crusades. Like 10 seconds later, it like crossfades into the exact same location and comes up England, present day. Like we couldn't tell that already with the fact that they're in tombs and there's modern technology. I don't know. Positives for me. Jeez, it would be Russell Crowe. I mean, Tom Cruise is fine. He doesn't give a shit in this film. He's just completely turning the performance in, getting the paycheck from it. You know, he might come back for the future ones. He's a big name for this franchise, so Universal have got that going for it. Everything else, it's everything by the book. You've seen it before, done it a million times better in other Mummy films, like the 1999 one with Brendan Fraser. Go watch The Mummy or The Mummy Returns rather than this. This really didn't do anything inspiring. The only things that it might do is when we get a few films into this dark universe, if they do start picking up, then you can just chalk this up to being that one bad one. But that'll do it for our spoiler-free section of The Mummy. Now we're going to get into spoilers. So if you haven't seen The Mummy and you do want to see it, go and watch it first, then come back to us. I want to kick off with Tom Cruise's comic relief sidekick character because this guy was fucking intolerable. I thought he was kind of endearing at the start in the scene, which basically rips off Uncharted 3. But then when they kept bringing his character back, he reminded me of like the Leo character from Revenge of the Fallen, where he's just screaming and woe is me, this is going wrong, this is going wrong. And characters like that usually really get irritating after about 5 minutes.
I was livid when I saw it. I was like, "Oh, for God's sake, he's got one of them crap side characters." And okay, we know this character's going to die. He died, and then he kept coming back. And no, it was just like no, it was awful. And then at the end, he comes back again. Terrible. Literally, the cast. Anyone of irrelevance to the Monsters universe was actually pathetic and pointless in this film.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed. I'm a fan of New Girl. I can say it's one of my guilty pleasure TV shows that I watch, and he's great in New Girl because it's a comedy. This film should not be a comedy. It really shouldn't. And he tried to bring in some comedic elements, and it just didn't work.
Well, it was a complete rip-off of, I mean, if anyone's still watching and doesn't care about spoilers, I'll give some context for it. So when they're bringing the sarcophagus back to London and they're on the plane and, you know, bad shit's happening, his character gets possessed by, I guess, the entity of the mummy, and he starts killing people on the plane. So he's approaching Tom Cruise, he's about to stab him. Tom Cruise shoots him 3 times and kills him. And then throughout the rest of the film, he keeps coming back in dead form and is increasingly more decomposed as the film goes on. And it's just, you know, I've seen that before in American Werewolf in London, but it made sense in that movie because that was a very dark comedy, tongue-in-cheek film from the beginning till the end, so it fit the tone. In this, all the jokes just with him didn't work at all. In all honesty, you could probably just edit his character out after he gets shot, and nothing in the film would change at all. Really out of place and just didn't work for the rest of the tone, as well as being a complete rip-off of that movie, as I just said. The exposition in this film absolutely killed me, right down to the fact that we get this really, really long setup for the mummy character at the start. Watching the first mummy film from 1999, they pretty much do the entire backstory of Imhotep and Anck-su-namun in the first 5 minutes. It's a very simple premise. In this one, it was just so convoluted, just went on for ages and ages and ages. And then, you know, we're with Dr. Jekyll at the beginning of the film, and he's researching stuff. And I think, George, you compared him to the Nick Fury of this new dark universe, and that's exactly what he felt like all the way through this movie.
Yeah, when he came on screen, okay, everyone, you're just waiting for him, and he starts talking to a wall, not to anyone that was there. He just talks to a wall, and that wall is the backstory of Princess Amenhotep. No, that's not her name. I've already forgotten her name. Amenhotep. I'm sorry. He pronounces it very funny. But he's Mr. Backstory. Like, okay, here's Samuel Jackson building your Avengers universe. What's the word at the end of Iron Man 1? I'm here to talk to you about the Avengers Initiative. There's your setup part. And then with this, and okay, we've got that amazing line from the trailer, but he's just talking too much. And every single time he's turning into into Hyde when he's even giving some exposition when he first meets Tom Cruise. And he's giving exposition in his weird Hyde voice as well. Yeah, and I'm struggling to remember actually some of the other stuff. So if anyone else can...
Well, I mean, when you hit that bit with the Mr. Hyde character in the middle of the film, the whole film just stops being about the mummy, and we just kind of hang with Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde for about 20 minutes. And I mean, it's fine because Russell Crowe's entertaining, especially when he does become Mr. Hyde and he's putting on that Cockney accent. He does have the 2 personalities down really well, but you just watch it and thinking either save it for a Dr. Jekyll movie, like, you know, it doesn't have any place being in the mummy. It's just to set up the world.
If you want to see a film about the Universal monsters, you may as well just go and watch Penny Dreadful, because it's probably 10 times better than this.
Go watch Van Helsing. Like, that is about the Universal monsters. That's a way better movie than this and way more entertaining. We've had a comment from Sheila asking, so do they tie this film in with the original films? No, this is a complete updated reboot, although they do have Easter eggs and stuff, which I'll discuss now. So there's this whole bit where Dr. Jekyll leads them into this room. You've got the laboratory, and there's loads of things in cases, and there's skeletons everywhere. And the things that I noticed was a skull for Dracula. You see it with the fangs. There looks something to be like an arm or a scale or a fin off the creature from the Black Lagoon. And then there was something else I did see which looked like a tentacle, but I couldn't tell what that was from.
The room, I'm guessing to like monster fans, it's like, well, as in monster fans, if there's people that like these monster films as much as like Marvel and DC, I'm guessing everything in the room had a purpose. But to 99.9% of people watching, it was just a creepy room with skulls. Like he picks up one where it looks like it's been like sawed off and like put together with like screws. I was trying to work out if that was meant to be something famous or not, but I don't know any of the backstory, so I couldn't give anyone an answer.
Maybe that's Frankenstein, and then we're getting Bride of Frankenstein next.
Yeah. The only other 2 Easter eggs I noticed in the film, one I've already mentioned was the whole, it's not really an Easter egg, I guess it's like a direct visual reference, but the whole face in the smoke, that was from the, or the sand cloud, that was the 1999 Mummy film. And another Easter egg that was from that 99 film as well that I noticed was that there's a scene, I think it's Tom Cruise, he picks up this book and he knocks someone out with it, and then it kind of does a close-up of the book. That's the book of Amun-Ra from Stephen Sommers' film. It's the book they used to beat Imhotep at the end of the movie. It's like this gold book with like a star key that they have to unlock the book with. Well, Universal obviously has the rights to the Mummy still, even those older films, so it makes sense that they use things like that. I think that was just a fun reference to that, although it doesn't directly tie in with that film or anything like that. There's probably a couple more Easter eggs in there, but I didn't really notice any, and I didn't really care to notice any more, in all honesty. Is there literally anything we got like the ending, so...
Oh, can I say this? Tom Cruise turns into Prince of Persia. And they try and have it finished like John Wick 2 / Dark Knight with him riding off into the sunset, except this time he's got the terrible side relief that no one wanted to see, and he's getting followed by sand.
Yeah, I couldn't tell. Was that like a demonic force chasing him, or was that just part of him? Because he kind of becomes the Mummy at the end, doesn't he? He takes on the power, the essence of the Mummy.
He's not the hero Egypt need, but the one they deserve.
Basically, because he's deaf, and because he's deaf, he can give life to people, and I guess he control any form of life, even though sand isn't life. I don't get the powers either.
Sand is rough and coarse and gets everywhere.
Jesus Christ, is this how we defeat Anakin?
I don't know, but he was running towards the pyramid, so maybe Tutankhamun will be in the next one.
What else can I say? The whole ending as well. I mean, there's this whole bit where, you know, the chick dies in the film, and it's like, oh no, she's not coming back.
No, I was celebrating at that point.
Yeah, but she came back to life by him screaming.
Yeah, and actually, when he screams, like, I know he becomes the Mummy, but if you look at his face, he looks more like a vampire. Like, he has these huge fangs, and he looks like a demon or a vampire or something. That was really strange.
And funnily enough, someone said that they might be setting him up for Van Helsing.
Yeah, I heard that.
Well, I did hear. I heard theories that he was going to be the Van Helsing character.
Is Van Helsing a vampire, or is that Blade?
No,
Blade
I think that's
a vampire
Blade,
hunter.
Yeah. That's Blade.
Can we cross over the Mummy films with What We Do in the Shadows?
Yes.
I don't know. I just hated it. Like, it literally looked like it's Prince of Persia at the end. I said, I could take Tom Cruise doing some like video game film next. Go back to Edge of Tomorrow 2, please. Get Mission Impossible out. Forget about the Dark Universe, Tom. Go to what you're doing really well at, which isn't these. You can't be the god of death. I don't know. I really hated it. I sat there regretting every minute of being there. What a waste. I mean, sorry for you guys. You've got them cards where it's like you pay monthly. I had to actually spend real money on this film. And I was there like, I really wish I went and watched Wonder Woman again. Because,
which I did the next day afterwards.
Yeah, you did fine with it. And I was like, oh, God, the fucking Mummy film. My sister's seen it today, and I text her saying, don't go. And she goes, but it's free. And I said, it's not, your time isn't there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I pretty much said everything on this movie. I'm not even like mad by it or anything like that. Like you know, Alien Covenant. Me and you, Tate, we enjoyed some bits of that film, but a lot of other stuff in that film really pisses us off. I wasn't pissed off at this movie. I just kind of sat back.
Legend of the Sword, I was pissed off with because he was a good director turning terrible, and this film was just boring. And I don't know what's worse, because like I can still pick out certain scenes in Legend of the Sword. And I can pick out some things which could have been good if it was expanded on. But in this film, it's just so boring.
Yeah.
Like, Legend of the Sword was bad, entertaining bad. Like, so jarring, it was slightly entertaining. I would never watch it again. But, like, I can see the appeal in some cases. This film was just boring.
If you've seen the trailers, you know exactly what you're getting in for with this film. You know exactly what kind of movie it's going to be. You can probably pretty much plan the whole movie out just by seeing the trailers. What I was annoyed about most in this film is what a huge waste of potential it was. And I will say that I really wish that studios would release one film, see how it does first before committing to a shared universe or cinematic universe. I'm sick to death of studios keep doing this, so we'll see how it goes. Clearly, they're already in production on the other ones. They've got Johnny Depp and Javier Bardem signed up for The Invisible Man and Frankenstein's Monster, respectively. So I guess we'll see where it goes. I know they've also said that with some of the films, they want to give some a really small budget, others a big budget. I don't think this needed to be an action movie. It seemed like they were trying to capture some of that adventure spirit from the '99 film. I would have loved them to just seen them go all out horror with this and just have a really good, dark, horror-filled franchise. I think that would have been really cool to do. But we'll wait to see where the other ones go to. I've said everything I can on The Mummy. Have you guys got anything else to say?
Save your money for Transformers 5.
I can't make that claim.
I've got something else to say then. Don't go to see Transformers 5. Don't go to see this film. Wait until another film comes out, or just give more money to Wonder Woman.
Yes. Yeah, I second that. But yeah, that'll do it for our review on The Mummy. Be sure to comment, subscribe, let us know what you thought of this movie. Which is your favourite Mummy film? Which character are you looking forward to see getting their own film in the Dark Universe? Anything you like, please do drop us a comment. In terms of what's coming up on the channel, next week, I don't believe there's an actual new release out, not at least a prominent release. So, George, do you want to tell the folks at home what we'll be reviewing?
Well, I was going to talk about the brackets, but next week it begins. No, we'll get to the hype first. There is only one man who can save the next 2 weeks of cinema, and that is Sir Michael Bay, the Bayhem himself. And we're starting off with the animated 80s one. To some, that's more exciting, but to me, we will be getting the first 4 Transformer films reviews out. It will be glorious. We have a lot to talk about. Bayhem at its finest. If I had my wishes, we would have had a Michael Bay month, but no. That was shot down and probably shot down with explosions in the background and the most amazing instruction video that was never constructed. But in other news, we've got a Battle of the Brackets back on next Sunday, which is going to be greatest comic book moment, Tate. And that's going to be a blast. We're getting it's going to be us 3 fighting. We're trying to get the 4th person, and then we'll hit a draft out and let you all know as soon as we can. On Tuesday, I have Rockathon. I am assuming there's a great picture coming out today or tomorrow. Fingers crossed on that. But the Rockathon will be on the game plan, which is actually a very underrated film. I believe, the first family film on our channel that isn't like an animated, because let's be honest, adults watch them. So it's going to be fun. And I believe on Friday we have a new episode of Film Club with Chris and Tate. And on Thursday, obviously, the news is back, our new weekly show. So we have a busy week, but yeah.
Yeah, no, awesome. And then tomorrow, reactions will be coming out. I haven't had time today. I've had people round. I've done a review for this, but tomorrow I'll have a reaction out for Black Panther, Transformers official final trailer. So I'll be getting the Transformers hype in early before our reviews. There's a bunch of other ones I want to do as well. There's a new DC animated Batman film coming out called Batman and Harley. There'll be a reaction out for that. So yeah, hit that subscribe button. Also hit the bell icon at the side so you get a notification every time we upload something new. That'll do it for us today, guys. And until the next video, we'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.